At St. ERNALINE'S Academy for the Fantastically Inclined, we believe in a specialized education for open-minded and exceptionally gifted students. We were established in 1838 by ERNALINE Adipocere in Buffalo, New York, near the Buffalo State Asylum for the Insane. Originally intended as a foster home and orphanage for the children whose parents were residents at Buffalo Asylum, Miss Adipocere converted it to an academy for children with unusual talents, after meeting a concentrated amount of them in Buffalo. A former exceptional child herself, she decided to dedicate her time and energy to honing the talents of future generations of those with peculiar abilities, and thus St. ERNALINE'S Academy for the Fantastically Inclined was born. The school was named for her own namesake, her ancestor St. ERNALINE, who was a devout nun and eventual saint. In 1898, Adipocere met a Dr. Linda Hazard of Olalla, Washington, who eventually joined St. ERNALINE'S team after her unfortunate murder scandal. She now remains a valuable asset to our team. In 1927, after holding job interviews for a professor of anatomy, Count Carl Tanzler of Tampa, Florida was hired. In addition to holding this position for 95 years now, Count Tanzler now runs successful taxidermy and embalming after-school clubs on Tuesdays and Fridays. School begins promptly at 9 o'clock. During a usual school day, the children's first class would be writing until 10 o'clock, in which students would switch to penmanship. 30 minutes later, Latin language classes begin. Next is Fine Arts at 11, followed by lunch at 11:45, which goes until 12:45 when drama starts. At 1:15 is Pre-Industrial Gothic Literature, a new edition, and Miss Adipocere's personal favorite. And then Dark History at 2. The students get a choice of art, languages, classical music, and chess at 3 o'clock, which goes until 3:45 when forensic science or chemistry starts, and 4:05 when school ends. We offer quite a bit of after-school activities, including the aforementioned taxiderming and embalming on Tuesdays and Fridays, Psych on Mondays, Shakespeare on Wednesdays, furthering psychic studies on Tuesdays, historical costuming on Friday, film and filmmaking on Thursdays, and lastly, supernatural photography on Wednesdays. As for sports, competitive ice skating is offered on Tuesdays and Thursdays during the winter, and baseball during the fall and spring. We compete with other nearby schools in both public and private school systems. We offer traditional English breakfasts in the morning, pork meat pies for lunch, which are said to prolong life, and a variety of dinners which change day to day. Our students live on campus during the week and optionally on weekends. Grades are preschool to 12th grade. We have a library, which doubles as a student lounge and a sitting room for teachers. Teachers are required to be in their classrooms by 8:30, and those who are not running after-school clubs may leave at 4:15. Teachers live in free accommodations on campus. Students arrive for the school year a week before school starts on the first Monday of October. School ends on the second Friday of June, and students who are going home for the summer are expected to have moved out the week after. We do offer year-round lodging for our orphan students and those who want to continue their studies. We also break for the usual winter holidays. February and April breaks. Students can again stay or go home. During winter break, we do have Christmas and Hanukkah celebrations for students to enjoy. All of our students are expected to maintain an A-B average in their studies, and if this cannot be maintained for a prolonged period of time, the student will be isolated from their peers with a private tutor, until such a time where they have raised their grades. We do not tolerate slacking off. And if the students still cannot keep up, we will not hesitate to expel them. Learning at least one language is mandatory, either after school or during their choice period. We offer Italian, Spanish, French, and Russian. Our headmistress, ERNALINE'S, prides herself on her admissions process, in interviewing and testing each child personally to maintain the St. Ernaline's standard. Each potential student must take an intelligence test to ensure that they are above average. They must meet with Professor Edgar Case, an alumnus of St. Ernaline's, to verify their clairvoyance and/or psychic inclinations. After this, they must test a week out with appropriate peers to again ensure their place at our school. We categorize children within 5 groups once they reach first grade based on intelligence and ability within their grade. Expect there to be 10 to 15 children in each class, and therefore the different classes will learn with varying levels of difficulty. The dormitories are divided by gender, and then again by nursery, primary, and secondary school. Our school nurse, Dr. Linda Hazard, runs the infirmary on the 2nd floor. She takes care of the sick and injured students with her expert team of nurses, trained in treating consumption, scarlet fever, and the Spanish flu. Dr. Hazard earned her degree in medicine at a medical school that she does not remember the name of, that closed soon after her graduation. She ran a sanatorium in Olalla, Washington, called Wilderness Heights, until the regrettable death of Claire Williamson and the misunderstanding of the treatment of Claire's sister Dorothea. But after this was cleared up, she returned to Olalla to open a second sanatorium, which eventually burned down. And she then began to work with us, full-time. Well, our alumni have gone on to be successful mediums, poets, morticians, and writers. Apply today at the link in the description.